The first time I registered to vote, I was 18 years old. This was back in 2008. And I didn't want to be affiliated with any political party, so the closest thing I could do to be as independent as possible is register for, once again, the Independent Party. By the time I was 16 or 17 years old, I made up my mind that I was not going to um, be affiliated with either Democrat or Republicans because they are one and the exact same thing. If you watch my other video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, or I may put a link in the description below if I remember to do so. But I will say this: looking back on it, I know for a fact that they were the same back then, and many years later, I can honestly say that this actually confirms my suspicion. It confirms my belief, and even Jesse Ventura confirmed it as well. I mean, even he said it. This is before I started hearing his interviews many years prior. And I registered for Independent Party, but since I moved out of the West Coast to move into the East Coast here, um, due to many reasons, of course, I, re- I got my license changed, and I registered as someone as a voter who is not affiliated with any party. You have Libertarian, you have Green Party, you have Democrat, Republican, uh, Conservative, what's it called, Constitutionalist Party, whatever, and then you have Independent Party. And one of the choices you can vote for in the ballot is no party affiliation. So what am I a member of? No parties. I'm not a member of any party, and I registered to vote on that. But back there in California, they didn't have that choice, but I have that choice here, which is great. I love that. So with that being said, this is why I'm much happier as a registered voter here in this state, in the East Coast, versus California, where they didn't even give you the option of of registering to vote as uh, being affiliated with no parties. And I don't want to be affiliated with any parties because I see Democrats and Republicans as the same, and I also see members of every political party as one and the exact same thing. I mean, look at Gary Johnson. He was a libertarian. I didn't see him as being different than a Democrat. I saw him as one and the exact same thing. I saw him as the exact same thing as a Democrat or a liberal. To me, he was not different at all. He was, he was the exact same thing, honestly. He was no different than Hillary. He was like no different than anybody, honestly, from the Democrats. And honestly, a lot of people thought Jesse Ventura was like a conservative or a Republican. And some people think that he's also a liberal because he believes in open borders, and he is also against gun control. So people thought like, okay, he's a Democrat or Republican, but he was a member of the Independent Party. And honestly, if I had to choose a favorite, I think Independent Party is the best one because that's the closest thing to forefather material. The forefathers, like I said in my other video, they even said, beware of the two-party dictatorship, and look what we have now. You have the illusion of choice, because all you see at the very end, the final two, are Democrats and Republicans, and that has never changed for the past 150 some odd years. So what makes you think that that's going to change now? So you have the illusion of choice. You say, who are you going to vote for, with this and this? You have the illusion of choice. And even the election day, I was asked, who are you going to vote for, Trump or Hillary? And here's this little story. I'm going to make this quick. When somebody asked me, who are you voting for, Hillary or Trump? You know what I told them? How would you want me to commit suicide? Pulling a trigger by putting a gun into my mouth? Or would you want me to die a slow and painful death by jumping into a pool of corrosive acid? Which one is it? Because honestly, they both sound just as good as voting for Trump or Hillary. They told me I was being over dramatic, and I told them, no, I'm not. They're not that different from each other. They never have been, ever. They're both gonna. I mean, if Hillary was president right now, she was gonna send this country to. This country was gonna step into the fray with Russia. There was gonna be a war between the U.S. and Russia. This is gonna be like World War III. And that's why a lot of people wanted to vote for Trump to avoid World War III from happening. And I think it might happen because he's pulling out of the nuclear deal, and this is causing tensions with Russia anyway. So this is another reason why I didn't see them as that different, and they use fear mongering tactics about the threats of ISIS and blah 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 and all this stuff. When clearly a lot of people are waking up to the reality that ISIS has been funded by the U.S. government. I mean, people are saying this, so this is what a lot more people are saying more and more and more as people wake up to the corruption or the so-called New World Order. So there you go. So I'm glad that I've registered to vote as no party. I don't want to belong to any political parties. I don't never liked Hillary, but I never liked Trump before he thought about running for president. You know, I'm not gonna listen to some guy who I'm not gonna take some guy seriously who talks about. I never liked Donald Trump for the longest time. I mean, it's not against him as a president. I mean, but it's like I didn't. But it's just the thing with him as a person. Never liked him as a person at all. I never saw him. I saw him as someone who was a little too, who was too arrogant. And Hillary Clinton was also an arrogant SOB as well. So yeah, this is why I'm glad I'm not affiliated with any political parties. And this is better than being registered as independent. But I would probably vote for a member of the independent party if Jesse Ventura was running. Or I'd probably vote for Republican if Ron Paul was running for president again. Because I supported Ron Paul at heart. I still have a Ron Paul T-shirt as we speak. He ran as Republican, but he had libertarian values. He was more of a libertarian than, what's his name, Gary Johnson there, and he was more forefather material than anybody out there. Jesse Ventura is too. But if he decides to run for president, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm gonna vote for him right off the bat. Because as far as Donald Trump is concerned, that guy's a schmuck. He spends too much time on Twitter talking all that smack. Like I don't need to hear that. Like that's just the bottom line. But that's just my opinion. You know, call me what you want. I don't believe in political parties. People have told me like a vote for another political party. It's just a vote going to Trump. Or if you don't vote for Trump, then and people have also told me like if you vote for someone else, then that's just another wasted vote going towards Hillary Clinton. The outcome is always going to be the same. There's always going to be some type of disappointment. And the majority of elections throughout this country have been rigged for almost 100 years. So you people need to wake up to that too. A lot of things are staged. Wars are staged too. And even terrorist attacks have been staged. So please don't tell me that, the whole thing is one fair and square or whatever. Like, there's no such thing as like being fair in the game of politics. That's why you have political ads that involve insulting somebody. I mean, there's no such thing as being a fair politician. Politicians, the majority of them, they are liars at heart and liars by design. So with that being said, like I said, if you guys really, really, believe in having having Americans unite together, one of the biggest steps is to make sure you don't vote for Democrat and Republicans, because, like I said in my other video, it's time to abolish political parties. So if you're gonna register to vote, I would recommend voting for no party affiliation if that option is available in your state or local area. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to unsubscribe, then you're not awake to reality.